have to do to please Satan, they're going to defile you more and more and more. And that's the whole point, because Satan wants to get you to hell, and he wants to use you as a tool to lead as many people to hell as possible, because that's ultimately his goal, because he knows he's ultimately bound for the lake of fire. And he wants to take as many people as possible with him. That's what this is all about. Every single lesson that I do, every single thing that I teach and preach, if you really want to boil it all down, that's where the battle really is. Who's going to wind up in heaven and who's going to wind up in hell? And Satan's agenda is to get as many people to hell as possible. So Daniel Radcliffe has this show, and he mutilates 6 of these horses with spikes. He blinds them, I guess. Yeah. And then Radcliffe has, however, signed to do the rest of the Harry Potter movies. He is but one example of a child in our culture left to his own whims and not to be conformed by biblical precepts. The Bible says, do not be deceived. Evil company corrupts good manners. So then we go further. So what are we concerned parents to do? What are we as a nation to do if witchcraft really is one of the fastest growing religions among teenagers today, as some reports show? Has the church perhaps grown lukewarm or even cold? Oh, please. Is that even a question? Occult expert, and I mean, you've got Focus on the Family promoting. They promote Harry Potter. They say it's harmless fantasy. They even equate it to a lot of things in the Harry Potter themes, like good fighting evil. Oh, it's good for us, and we're going to look at that a little bit more too. We're going to see what some of the Christian organizations are saying about Harry Potter. And you're telling me they're not being used as tools of Satan? Oh yes, but he's such a good man. He seems so sincere as a preacher. Who cares? He's leading you down the wrong road. That's why the Bible says, thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and that maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord. So what are concerned parents to do? What are we as a nation to do if witchcraft really is one of the fastest growing religions among teenagers, as some reports show? Occult expert, author, and producer Carol Matriciana reminds us, quote, in various ways our children are beleaguered by bad company, resulting in rebellion against parents, the church, and God's morality. The Bible predicts children will rise up against parents. It does predict that. Well, isn't this a great tool for that? Wow, I can have power, and I can have power over my classmates and my siblings and even my parents. I guarantee you, there's kids. See, kids don't like to ultimately have anybody rule over them. Their flesh don't like that. No kid in their flesh likes a parent telling them what to do. In every kid and in every adult for that matter, there's rebellion. If really the truth be known, if the flesh be exposed for what the flesh is, it doesn't like being in subjection to anybody. Okay? Well, think about this. If you're a kid and your parents are like, oh yeah, go see your Harry Potter movies, and your kid starts learning all this witchcraft at a very young age, and he starts practicing it. He starts using these spells and these things of this nature. And what ends up happening is they actually end up becoming adept at this. Okay? This is one of the things that can happen, that they actually go forth and they learn this stuff, and they actually become witches. The occult is real. Witchcraft is real. This stuff is not stuff that's being made up. It's exploding across America. And really, you could go to England, man. You don't think there's witches? It's where it started, yeah. So you've got all this witchcraft that's going on, and the church is doing nothing about it. They're stinking promoting it half the time. Nobody's speaking out against it. But the Bible says children will rise up against parents. You got Harry Potter. Okay, so you got these kids with Harry Potter, and they look at this and they're learning this witchcraft. Okay, and there's actually been, and we're gonna see a quote from a guy that was a high-level witch, who's now a Christian, and we're going to see what he has to say about Harry Potter. And every quote I've ever seen from this man has said that the stuff that they're teaching in Harry Potter is not entry-level witchcraft. It's not just the kiddie stuff. There's stuff that they do in Harry Potter that some witches won't even touch. Okay? So this is the difference here. This is not just some entry-level stuff we're dealing with. If you as a kid learn how to do this stuff, and you learn how to do spells and your potions and counter spells and all these other things, and you have your parents over there and they're giving you a problem, hey man, I'm just going to do a spell on it. I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And then if you see it work, Oh, you're in hook, line, and sinker, man. Why not? I mean, hey, it works. I can manipulate my parents. I can manipulate my brothers and sisters. I can manipulate my teachers. What's not to like? You know? It's a good deal. So then the Bible says in Matthew 10:21, it says, now these are as a description of some of what can happen, being filled with all unrighteousness, sexual immorality, wickedness, covetousness, maliceness, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, evil-mindedness, and they are whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, violent, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, and disobedient to parents. Now this is some of the fruit of what Harry Potter would yield if you yield to it. If you yield to this and you actually start to get involved with this stuff. Remember, witchcraft is not just fantasy. I tell people this. You know, you think people get involved in witchcraft because there's no benefit? There's benefit. You think they're just doing it so that they can be seen of all men and, oh, look at me, I'm a big tough witch. I'm telling you, there's benefit. They wouldn't do all this. They wouldn't go through all these ceremonies. They have seen it work. And because they've seen it work, they want to go deeper. And this is why it's dangerous, because you get pulled in further and further. And it's like that analogy that I've given before, where, you know, if you put a frog in lukewarm water and you slowly turn the burner up, the frog will not jump out and eventually will boil. If you put a frog in boiling hot water, right away, what ends up happening? He jumps out because he knows it's boiling. But if you do it the other way, where you turn up real slow, by the time he realizes that he's in too deep, it's too late. It's too late. So see, this is the difference. And this is why Harry Potter's so dangerous, because it's so subtle. You get involved, oh, it seems so fun, and this is neat, and this is great, and, well, there's no harm in any of this, and my church isn't saying anything against it, and mom and dad think it's okay, and hey! So this is why it's so dangerous. So we go on further. It says, here's a real quick list of occult witchcraft practices found in Harry Potter. Now this isn't stuff we're making up. This is documented in the books, no doubt about it. Harry Potter series has spell casting, has astrology, fortune telling, numerology, divination, palmistry, where they read the palms, the charms, crystal ball gazing, out of body travel, which is that astral projection I talked about. You got to be at a very high level in witchcraft to do that. Spirit channeling. Now this would be like when you see dearly departed Uncle Ned. We're going to channel his spirit. We're going to talk to Uncle Ned, and supposedly, you'll go to these seances. I've been to a seance. I know. I mean, my mom took me to one when I was young, and what ends up happening is I remember the one that I had went to, this person was channeling a spirit. And this woman was at the front of this room, because, see, my mom was heavily involved in really still is, heavily involved in all this stuff. And what happened is everybody went silent, and all of a sudden this woman was talking, and then her voice totally changed. It was freaky. And I'm like, whoa, what is that? And evidently the spirit had entered into this woman, and it started going around the room to different people, one by one. Said something about me too, I don't remember what he said. But when she got to my mom, she said something about this and that. And it was something really heavy duty. I don't even want to really repeat it. It wasn't like it was inappropriate, it was just something I never knew as a child. And she said, yes, that happened. And it was something that was really major. And I never knew about it. My mom never told me. And afterward, I said, Mom, that really happened? She says, yeah. And see, for my mom, she was looking at that like, oh, this is the way. Because this spirit read my mail. It knew exactly what happened. How could it know that if it wasn't of God? Well, the Bible says the problem with all of this is that the Bible condemns all of this stuff as witchcraft. Because, see, again, there's benefit to witchcraft. It's not like these witches do this or they read crystal balls and they're always wrong. Now, they're not always right. I know that for 100% sure. In fact, if you look at, remember that Dionne Warwick Psychic Friends Network? They went out of business because they were getting it wrong so many times that they got sued, so they had to go out of business. So it's not like, but if you turn on the TV anymore, you've got your psychic detectives. You've got all these, and what they're doing is not only on the shows like the History Channel and the Discovery Channel and National Geographic Explorer and History International, all these shows are putting on shows, number one, to basically totally discredit Jesus Christ, to totally discredit the Bible, but they're also promoting witchcraft heavily.